Hi guys, Ali Duzette here, and I am so excited to get to work with you on healing wounds around Saturn in Aquarius. Ah, today is part one. This is a 7-part series, and we're just gonna go one every day as Saturn prepares to enter. Oh my gosh, Pisces. Sorry guys. Wow. Okay, today we're working on wounds around serving humanity. And why? Because Saturn is the hardest worker. Saturn is a hardworking planet. It is the master and it governs mastery. And Aquarius is driven by desires to serve humanity. So when it comes to Saturn and Aquarius, there can be a huge urge to serve the world. And even if you don't have Saturn in Aquarius, it's very possible that you have felt a call to save the world. Have you ever felt like that? Do you feel like you see the bigger picture and you want to help? Aquarius is the sign that cares about things like climate change, world hunger, poverty, homelessness. Obviously, people of every sign can care about those things, but Aquarius is kind of like the boss of caring about those things. When someone is very motivated to save the world, Aquarius is the thing to look at on the chart. So Saturn is at 29 degrees of Aquarius right now, and that makes right now the perfect time to really dig into Saturn and Aquarius energies. And because I'm recording this now, even if you see this years later, I recommend going through this series anyway, because every person has Saturn in Aquarius energy to some extent. Like we all have Saturn energy, we all have Aquarius energy. We're going to be dealing with those two energies as part of this series. So I hope that you still do this series, even if you're not a Saturn and Aquarius in your natal chart. This is also going to be especially powerful if you have Saturn in Leo, Taurus, or Scorpio, because those are the other fixed signs. But this video is recorded during this transit. It's going to carry the energy of that transit. So I'm just hopeful that it will be very helpful for even years in the future. Don't forget to like and subscribe and find me on Facebook at the Facebook group Intuitive Healing and Self-Care with Ali Duzette. Okay, let's talk about wounds around serving humanity. So we want to save the world. What are our wounds around that? How about our well-meant gestures getting rejected? Or how about no matter how much you give, it is never enough. You can serve people all day long and give them every last bit that you have to offer, and there's going to be more people behind them. There's I think 7 billion people on the planet right now, and that makes it really hard to save everyone. Actually, there is something to do with the scale of what we're aware of now that really messes with our ideas of what is good enough when it comes to serving other people. That's my opinion. I was talking to a friend about it recently, about how she wants to write a book that's going to affect everybody in the whole world. And you know what, guess what? I want to do that too. And I bet you want to do that too. I think everybody wants to do that. But the difference now is that, 1,000 years ago, the people in your world would be the 150 people in your village. Even just a couple hundred years ago, the idea of like the people that you would interact with, it was just such a much smaller number. And because we didn't have things like the internet, there really was not the same kind of expectation that you could affect a bajillion people, let alone that you had a responsibility to. And I just feel like with the internet and with more connecting technologies, we can see so easily how we can connect to others. And it gives us this idea that like, to be good enough, we have to save as many people as J.K. Rowling has affected by publishing Harry Potter. Like so many people have read the Harry Potter books and really love them, and we can look at our own efforts and say, well, it's not good enough because another human served way more people, and that's a trauma response. Saturn in Aquarius can give the humanitarian urge a bit of a heartless edge. The phrase I had here was gotta crack a few eggs to make an omelet, but really Saturn in Aquarius, it wants to save the world, but also if a few people have to die in order to save the rest of them, that might be a trade-off that Saturn and Aquarius could live with, So there can be that little heartless edge. It's not true all the time, but like sometimes it is. And today we're going to work on some wounds around wanting to save others. So we are going to start with, I'm sorry, somebody called. Let me see. Sorry about that. Go ahead and tap with me. You can tap on your forehead or collarbone and say aloud, or just think along with me. Even though I deeply want to save many people, I deeply and completely love and accept myself. It could be safe for me to trust the divine to save. What if it were safe for me to believe that I didn't need to save anyone? What if I didn't need to save anyone? I don't need to save anyone. It can be safe to feel love and compassion for humanity without feeling like I must save them all. Everyone is on their own journey, and it can be safe for me to relax and allow others to experience their own experience. Go ahead and put your hands on your heart and breathe it in. I recommend pausing this screen and coming back and tapping through it a few more times if it has stirred up some emotions in you. The idea here is that we are all here to experience our own experience. And yes, we all have, I believe, a divine call to serve those around us and to love them, but no one can save another person. Being saved, whatever that means, is something that has to be chosen from within. It's something that we choose for ourselves, and there's really nothing that you can do to actually save somebody else. They have to choose it for themselves, whatever that is. I mean, as I'm talking about it, I'm thinking of like religiously and like being saved in that context, but I'm also thinking of like addiction and how many parents, I will tell you, I can't even tell you how many emails from parents who want me to save their adult child in rehab. You know, can you just save them? Can you just make them not want their addiction anymore? And the answer is no. They have to save themselves. They have to choose that. You know, there's things that we can do to serve people who are struggling, but we cannot save them. It is not possible. And when we feel this drive to save other people, it's a problem. So let's go ahead and close our eyes. If you're listening to this while you're driving or something, leave your eyes open, but just think about this. If you can't visualize it, just think about the concept. The concept is a blue dog plays fetch. Imagine a blue dog. The dog wags its tail at you. You throw a stick for the dog to catch. The dog chases after the stick but gets distracted by some suffering along the way. People are struggling off to the side of your imagination. The dog really cannot do much about what is happening, but the dog feels so badly about what is happening off on the side that it can't allow itself to just enjoy the game of fetch. Imagine a tube of light shining down on the dog. Imagine this light containing information on how to have a divine perspective on our personal roles in saving the world. It can be good to be motivated to serve others out of compassion, but also it can also be okay to just enjoy the game of fetch when the suffering of others is truly outside of our control. See the dog rewire its brain to understand this. I'm seeing like sparks flashing in the dog's brain as it like comes together, and this dog realizes, oh, you know, it is sad and hard when people are suffering, but there's not always something that can be done for that. I mean, sometimes there is, and then we have the option to do that if it is appropriate, but sometimes there isn't, and it's okay to enjoy the game of fetch when that happens. So let's go ahead and just breathe that in. And I'm feeling a big resistance that just says, no, but I have to save everyone. You can't let people suffer off to the side. It's not fair. Let's see. A big worthless feeling comes up. I am worthless unless I am alleviating all the suffering I can, all the suffering that I can. Go ahead and take a deep breath. I'm tapping. See if you can tap in. It can be safe to enjoy my life, even though other people will always be suffering. It can be safe to enjoy my life, even though other people will always be suffering. Go ahead and put your hands on your heart and breathe it in. The thing about suffering is that very much of it is optional, which people don't like to hear, but truly it is true. A lot of people's suffering is fully optional. And so there's really, again, only so much you can do. At some point, you have to choose to be happy, even though other people are going to have a hard time, because a lot of times their hard time is completely self-inflicted. And when that's the case, there is not really that much that you can do except to just choose to be happy. Okay, go ahead and close your eyes or just think about this image again. This one is called Never Enough. Imagine a pot with no bottom. A man is cooking some food and keeps pouring it into the pot, hoping to fill it up, but that is impossible. The food just falls out the other end. In despair, the man pours more and more, but it doesn't matter. There is always a greater need for what he has to give. See an imaginary light shine down on the man and the pot, containing information on the divine perspective about this. Giving is wonderful, and we should give. And also, there is a divine perspective on when what we have given is enough, and we do not have to keep trying to fill up the pot with no bottom. It is safe to do our best and trust the divine to take care of the rest. It is okay for us to rest. See the cook realize that what he has given is enough, and he does not need to bend over backwards and break his body trying to fill up a pot that can never be filled. See him take off his chef's hat and sit down to rest. And go ahead and breathe it in. This final image is called guilt tripping. Imagine a person guilt tripping herself. She feels an unending urge to serve others, and maybe she doesn't even know why, but it is always there. And when she doesn't do enough to help others, she judges and blames herself immensely. Imagine a light shining down on this woman with information and the divine perspective on serving others. Service is an important facet of life, and serving can be divine, but we are humans too, and it is as important to serve yourself as it is to serve others. You need to put the oxygen mask on yourself first before you put it on anybody else, right? See this woman's cells and energy field get rewired with this understanding. Put the oxygen mask on you. You are a human too. You want to alleviate other people's suffering, but the most important suffering to alleviate is yours. You are the only one that you can control. You are the only one who can stop your own self-inflicted suffering. No one can save you from that. You have to save yourself from that. When we are trying to save other people at the expense of ourselves, we're forgetting that most important lesson, that no matter how much we try to save other people, at the end of the day, we are only qualified to save one person. And that's you. You are qualified to save you and nobody else. And I am only qualified to save me and nobody else. We are the only ones who can alleviate our own self-inflicted suffering. So see this woman realize that she has nothing to feel guilty about when she puts her own needs first and when she focuses on alleviating her own suffering. Her own suffering is just as important as everyone else's suffering. She wants to save the world, and it's okay to start by saving herself. She can start by saving herself. She can serve others as she can, and she also has permission and a divine encouragement to serve herself just as she would serve someone else. Can she serve herself as she would serve someone else? Go ahead and see her taking a deep breath and see her resting from that guilt. See the guilt lift off of her like a sticker getting peeled off, and see how she feels so much lighter and more peaceful, giving herself permission to serve herself without guilt, to rest without guilt. Go ahead and put your hands on your heart and breathe it in. What changes do you notice in yourself as you work through these images? The work that we did today is similar to the work that I do at AllieDozetteClasses.com, where I have over 100 videos like this, except much more intense and in depth about very specific different topics. So I would recommend going over there and checking out the free offerings for more and for things to just get you started on your healing journey if you feel like these were helpful to you. And be sure to come back tomorrow for more work on Saturn in Aquarius. Everyone has Saturn in their chart. Everyone has Aquarius in their chart. We all have both aspects of this energy. And so working with both of these things, even if you don't have a natal Saturn in Aquarius, it's going to be very worthwhile, especially right now while the transits are just right. So thank you so much for being here. And I hope that you have a great day. I will see you tomorrow.